This is Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 1815, Marriage Diaries, The Weight of Our Vows, by Cari Dugan with Layne.co. Hello, everybody. I'm Greg Audino, your host and narrator here on ORD, coming to you each day with articles that can help you build better, stronger relationships with many people in your life. And we're going to jump right in today to this post discussing wedding vows and what they really mean as we optimize your life. Marriage Diaries, The Weight of Our Vows, by Cari Dugan with Layne.co. For better or worse, in sickness and health, for richer or poorer, in good times and bad. As a young bride, walking down the aisle, the only person I saw was Michael. I was so excited to begin our life together. I knew he was the one I wanted to be with, the one I wanted to love until I was old and gray. Without a doubt, I was certain that our life would be wonderful together. And it has been, truly. However, I was completely naive to the realities of life that could potentially shake even the strongest of marriages. Did I really ponder what our vows to each other really meant before our wedding day? Maybe, but I couldn't possibly understand the weight of them. Our first months married were spent in a small but cute basement apartment. For gas and food, all we had was $80 a week. We had nothing, but we had each other. I still look back at that time in our life as a time when life was beautiful. Life was rich. We were young, a little bit reckless, and very happy. For Michael, though, it was a hard year. He wanted to provide well, and it was difficult for him to not have consistent work. He knew that my admiration, love, and respect for him was not dependent on the number displayed on his paycheck, but he still cared. I can't remember how many times we overdrafted our bank account back then. But I do remember evenings laying on the back porch, looking at the stars, rice and beans eaten by candlelight, and many afternoons wasted at Starbucks playing Uno. I felt like the luckiest girl in the world to be Mrs. Dugan. I still feel that way. Whenever money gets tight now, I think to myself, we survived it then, and we will again. For richer or poorer. 9 months after we were married, we found out we were pregnant with our Bella. What should have been a happy time was dimmed by the fact that I was incredibly sick. I couldn't eat. All I wanted to do was sleep. It was extremely difficult to complete even the smallest of tasks. I lost so much weight that it was ghastly. It was not how I imagined pregnancy to be. Eventually, the sickness subsided, but throughout that whole time, Michael was my rock. He came to every one of my prenatal appointments. He cooked for me, cleaned for me, held my hair back as I vomited for the millionth time, and held me as I cried. As each of my pregnancies turned out to be much worse than the last, he was there. With my youngest daughter, I was so sick that I was in and out of the hospital. I felt like I was wasting away. Eventually, the hospital gave me a continuous IV and medicine that I could self-administer at home. He loved me throughout that entire time. There were days I didn't have energy to dress myself or even brush my hair. He did all those things and more for me. I always knew Michael loved me, but it was during that time that his love was made concrete. I could visibly see it. I could feel it in a way that I couldn't before. In sickness and in health. I often say that Michael and I grew up together. We were so young, we barely even knew each other, at least not the way we do today, 12 years later. Those years in between have been filled with so much change, growth, transitions, and life. You can imagine what these walls would whisper about us if they could. We've had our share of slammed doors and angry words that I want to erase but can't. Michael has seen me at my very worst, my angriest. He has witnessed my most selfish and unloving of sides. But if you asked him, he would say that he loves me more today than he ever has before. How? I believe him, but it still intrigues me every time he says that. I never thought it was truly possible to know a person so completely, so intimately, but still love them despite their shortcomings. But then again, I shouldn't be so surprised. Michael is far from perfect, but I do love him on his best day and on his worst. Nothing can change how I feel for him. For better or worse. Last fall, we ran into some unexpected financial challenges. It was the kind of situation that snuck up and took us by surprise. Michael, being amazing, went and got a second job. meaning he was now gone for 70 to 80 hours a week. He was exhausted. When he was home, I was out shooting weddings and sessions. We hardly saw each other and mostly communicated through email and text messages. It was lonely and tiring. Through it all, we managed to completely love each other. I took over all the yard work so he wouldn't have any additional chores on his plate. He, rather than sleeping or relaxing the rare times he was home, made dinner and took over caring for the kids so I could work. We were on survival mode, but the two of us ventured to lighten each other's loads. I think it was then that I learned that it is possible to still love, even when we are on the brink of ourselves, because we were committed to serving each other. In good times and bad. I know now that my love for Michael will be tested, again and again and again, some seasons more than others. But I'm no longer surprised when it happens. Those vows that were said so many years ago have become real to us over the years. I hold on to them as dearly as I hold on to my marriage, to my family, to my Michael. You just listened to the post titled Marriage Diaries, The Weight of Our Vows by Cari Dugan with Layne.co.
The new 2023 Ford Escape is the perfect getaway car. Featuring an available 13.1-inch center stack screen, 360-degree camera, and Bang & Olufsen sound system and spatial flexibility for extra legroom. The new 2023 Ford Escape. Learn more at Ford.com. Some models, trims, and features may not be available or may be subject to change.
And thanks a lot to Cari for this heartwarming and honest look into her life with her husband, Michael. I'm sure those who have been married for years can relate to these trials and tribulations that may have been unexpected in the beginning stages. Yet at the same time, I'm sure those same couples would say that they are very thankful for many of those moments. The extent of our happiness is arguably reliant on the extent of our struggles or our sacrifices. And it's amidst the types of struggles Cari described here today that we can all fall deeper in love, because we're reminded of the sacrifices we make for each other. Going through the muck can make us stronger. And for couples who do last and have happy marriages years later, they will likely be quite thankful for those turbulent times, even if they weren't as they were going through them. So if you are in a newer relationship, dealing with some of these troubles and having a hard time being grateful for them now, come back to this article and remember that these could very well be the times in which your relationship grows even stronger, because you had a chance to prove yourselves to one another. And therefore, these are times that you could be extremely thankful for someday. And with that, we are going to sign off for today, everybody. Thank you, as always, for being here and listening all the way through. Thank you for sharing this post with someone who you feel might need it. And be sure to come back again tomorrow for more content. That's where your optimal life awaits.